super fun, and all about artisan cheese and more to melt your peaceful heart and toast your peaceful life. Coming to you from the Appalachian Mountains of southwestern Virginia, this is the Peaceful Heart FarmCast.
Hey, this is Scott Hall from Peaceful Heart Farm, and you are listening to the Peaceful Heart FarmCast.
Hello, everybody. Melanie Hall here. Hope you're doing very, very well. The conversation today and every day revolves around the value of tradition, traditional homestead living, traditional raw milk products, and artisan cheese. Topics discussed here are designed to create new perspectives and possibilities for how you might add the taste of tradition to your life. Now, what is a Freemartin Heifer? That's today's topic. It is related to one of our cows having twins. Stay tuned for those details. In other news, is that a skunk? That's what I thought yesterday when I was out walking out to get the cows, and I was like, just right up on it. And then I stopped, just kind of took a wide berth. I was maybe only 6 feet away, and he or she gently kind of moved away. I got out of that one safely. You never know what you're going to run into on the homestead, I tell you. And the dogwood trees are in bloom. What a treat. It's different for us out here in the country. Now, when you're driving along the highway, there are lots of dogwood trees in everybody's yard. They're well trimmed. They're all very round, and they're just big, round balls of white flowers or pink flowers, and they're quite lovely. Now, the dogwood trees here on the homestead are sprinkled throughout the woods, and they're all white. The pink ones are a domestic kind of a variety. So they're all white, and it looks like it's kind of snowing in patches everywhere. I love this time of year. I want to take a minute and say welcome to all the new listeners. Welcome back to the veteran homestead-loving regulars who stop by the FarmCast for every episode. Thank you all so much for stopping by. What would I do without you? I have no idea. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so excited to share with you. There's so much stuff going on at the homestead this week. There's just so much of it. This time of year, everything is kicked into high gear. It seems like one thing is happening right on top of another. And when you have the odd thing pop up, like just to pull something out of the air, like your windshield getting a ding by a flying rock on the highway, that ding that quickly expands to a lengthy crack requiring a windshield replacement. It makes your life that much busier. To top off that cute little story, you never question how much it's going to cost for those great auto-driving gadgets if something breaks, right? Well, my windshield has a camera right behind the rear view mirror, and that required recalibration of the auto-driving mechanisms after the glass was replaced. Now, that lovely service of recalibration cost 1.5 times the cost of the actual windshield replacement itself. Yeah. And then a day later, I find out that the automatic headlight features are no longer working. In fact, the headlights are crazy. I can't drive at night at all. So I have to make a second trip to town for some codes to get cleared out. I guess that's the only thing that they did. And that kind of fixed the problem. But it took another 3 hours out of my day. Do you guys have days like that? You have so much to do and you end up doing something completely unrelated to anything on your to-do list. I still have a pending to-do regarding that windshield replacement because in Virginia, every county has an annual inspection that requires a sticker to be placed on the windshield. Yep, you guessed it. That little feature didn't survive the procedure. They did scrape it off and tried to keep it in one piece, but actually I got it back in pieces with an apology and a reminder that I would need to get that inspection sticker replaced. It was actually on the appointment as well. I kind of knew that was going to have to happen. Now, when am I going to get that done? Jeez. It's been one of those weeks. Well, on to the homestead happenings in and around these minor annoyances. Let's start with the gardens and the orchard. The strawberries are doing really well. I can't wait for them to start blooming. Speaking of blooming, the blueberries are busting out all over. Keep the second week of June in mind. That's likely when we will have blueberries available at the farmers markets. I'll be making lots of blueberry jam again this year. At least I hope I will be. If you've been around the podcast a while, you might remember that we've had some trouble with raccoons in the past. These are really cute creatures, and I'm willing to share a little of our abundance with them. However, when they start eating the entire crop of blueberries, that's where I draw the line. And we put up an electric fence, just electric wire, 2 years ago. 2 strands of electric wire. One was about 3 or 4 inches up, and the other one maybe a foot, not quite a foot off of the ground. And it worked beautifully. In fact, it worked so well that we didn't even have it working last year. And we still got all the berries. I guess the experience of the previous year was so shocking that these little guys decided not to even try last year. Now, I wonder if that caution will hold up for another year. Nah, let's not test it. That electric fence needs to be reinstated in the coming weeks to ensure that we are successful in harvesting our wonderful blueberries. Last year was the first time we really got a lot of blueberries, and it was great. The blackberries are growing lots of leaves but have not started blooming quite yet. It's a wonderful time of year when the blackberries do bloom. A related plant, the wild rose, also blooms about the same time. And between those two plants, the fragrance in the air is heavenly. Now, the goats have cleared out most of the wild rose and wild blackberry, so we may have to rely solely on our domestic blackberries for our perfumed air this season. We shall see. The green peas are jumping up out of the ground. Scott built a wonderful trellis for these lovelies. We have 2 70-foot-long beds with 6 rows of peas in each, and they're just really coming up great. Peas love the cool weather. It's a good thing that they do because the temps are going to drop into the low 30s tonight. Do you believe it? But I expect the peas to be fine. There might be a light frost, but we should be okay with that. Now, the early blooming fruit trees are done, so if it frosts, it won't hurt them. And they'll be setting fruit at this point, and so that's a greater concern. If it gets too cold, the cherries, peaches, plums, and so on could actually lose their fruit if they've already put on the little tiny fruits. I was looking at the peach trees yesterday. I didn't see any small fruit. Perhaps it'll be all right. We'll see. We'll see if any peaches grow. What was I doing out in the orchard yesterday? Well, I was chasing a small quail. Moving on to the quail. While I was testing the automatic waterers for the quail, Scott spent quite a bit of time getting those set up again. One of the younger girls slipped by me and jumped to the ground, and I chased her and chased her and chased her. And she got into the orchard, and the grass is about 8 inches tall in there. And I saw exactly where she landed, but when I got there, she was gone. I walked outward kind of in a spiral, expanding larger and larger, but I never saw her. I guess she's gone for good. I hope she has a great life out there on her own. Hopefully she'll be able to fend for herself. It's hard to tell, though. She's always had her food presented in an easily consumable form with no effort on her part. Out there on her own, she'll need to scratch around a lot to find bugs and worms and such. Quail are very carnivorous, as are most birds. Actually, all birds are quite carnivorous and heavy protein eaters with seeds, bugs, worms, all of that kind of stuff. They require lots and lots of protein. So I wish her the best. And who knows, she may turn up in a day or so and I'll be able to catch her. We had that experience a couple of years ago. Scott lost 2 hens that time, and we eventually caught both of them and returned them to their cages. So there is hope. We found them hanging out in the garden, and they just kind of flew up while we were out there working in the garden, and we were able to recapture those 2. But the rest of the quail are doing very, very well, and twice a year Scott gives the quail hutches a thorough cleaning. He finished that job just as the new babies went into the grow-out cages. I didn't lose any of them. They're all still there, and they're doing really well. We have 36 of them at this time. Figuring out how to work the automatic waterers is always a challenge, but they mastered it in no time. they have to put their beak into the little cup and push down on the little yellow bar, and water will go into the little automatic waterer. And just this morning, 72 more eggs went into the incubator. The second cycle of baby quail has started. All right, moving on to the sheep and the lambs. We are done with the lambing season. The last ewe delivered twins a few days ago. Girls! Girls! Yay, both of them. They are doing very well. So we ended up with 3 girls and 3 boys, 6 healthy lambs. Susie Q is still getting her bottle twice a day, but she's been turned loose with the rest of the sheep and the lambs. I'm thinking she doesn't like this very much, but she is getting used to it. When I go out in the morning, she's with the sheep, and that's important. Because she was so attached to Scott and myself and literally never left our side, it was important for her to start spending her time with other animals. After all, she isn't a human, and she needs to make friends with the other animals. And it does seem to be going well. I always feel sorry for these little lambs that have no mother caring for them. But they seem to do very well in spite of their orphan status in the flock. Lambert is our flock ram, and he was a bottle baby last year. Look how far he's been elevated in status. So I'll probably keep Susie Q as a flock ewe also. The bottle babies are somewhat like pets. Not exactly, but definitely more special than the others. So I'll probably keep her around, and we'll breed her a few times and see how that goes. Now on to the cows and calves. Violet is the only animal we have left here on the homestead who has yet to deliver. She's not due until the first week of June, and it's always a relief when we make it through this delicate time for all of our female creatures. You know, Scott briefly talked about having a second set of lambs in the fall because they'll breed every 5 months if we want to breed them. But I'm not in favor of this, as it is quite stressful for me when our ladies are nearly at term. I'd rather keep it to just a couple of months in the spring, and then my nerves need a rest for the remainder of the year. So I'm not going to worry for the next month, but then like the first week of June, I'll be jonesing a little bit again with Violet, and then once we're past Violet, we'll be in the clear with all of our babies. Now, Butter, our lovely Jersey that we purchased a couple years ago, she produced a very big surprise for us. If you haven't seen and heard Scott's video on our Facebook page, you have to get over there and find it. It was posted on Thursday, April 15th. He's filming the results of him helping Butter deliver this cute little girl. And she's licking the calf, and he's walking around and filming and talking, and then all of a sudden, he sees another set of hooves. They just kind of peek out really quick and then go back in. And I'll put a link to that post in the show notes. It's hilarious. Watch it to the end where it's like, whoa, there's another set of hooves. So the twin calves are really cute. They're really cute. However, there is a problem when twins are one boy and one girl. The heifer calf, the girl, is most likely what is called a Freemartin. And that's the topic I want to dive into with more detail. Now, I had Butter pegged for delivery in late May, not mid-April, and I'm not sure how I got so far off on those calculations. I think I was planning ahead on my spreadsheet, kind of estimating where the dates would fall with various scenarios. Well, if we have to breed again here 3 weeks later, if we have to breed again 3 weeks later. And then I think I must have neglected to put the dates back to their original settings on the date when she actually had her artificial insemination. Anyway, about 3 or 4 days before she gave birth, it became obvious that my calculations were way off. Her udder swelled up, and she was just huge. And it was actually the day before she gave birth that I had a very strong thought that she might have twins. She was really huge. It's really hard to tell, though. When they fill up their belly with hay and grass, it can get really big. Even when they're not pregnant, you'll walk out there in the middle of the summer and they'll have this huge belly. And then when you add pregnancy, and they all look really huge just before they give birth. So anyway, I just had that very strong thought. And then she did, in fact, have twins. And There's no problem when the twins are both girls or both boys, but when one is a boy and the other a girl, there are definite issues. Nothing like they will die or anything like that. No, they will be quite healthy. They're going to be cute. They're going to grow just fine. It's the Freemartin phenomenon to which I'm referring. What? You don't know what that means? Neither did I. We had actually purchased a calf that was likely Freemartin heifer when we were purchased our very first milk cows. We bought Clear and Buttercup, and we also purchased Beta because the price was right, and we wanted one additional cow strictly for beef. And so Beta was the other half of Alpha. It was a boy-girl twin, and we were told about the Freemartin situation and that she most likely would not be able to be bred. And so we didn't even plan to breed her. We just bought her for beef. All right, so what is a Freemartin heifer anyway? So here's the lowdown. The term Freemartin refers to an infertile female mammal with masculinized behavior and non-functioning ovaries. That's what the actual Freemartin is. The animal originates as a female with a double X chromosome, but during gestation they acquire the male XY chromosome. And of course, this can only happen with a male-female twin gestation. As I said, as long as there are two girls or two boys, there's no problem. Now, this occurs in all cattle species that have been studied, and it can also happen occasionally, so they say, in other mammals, including sheep, goats, and pigs. Now, we've never seen this in our sheep, and they deliver mixed male-female twins all the time. So I have to think it is really, really rare in sheep. Sheep and goats deliver twins and triplets all the time, even quadruplets every once in a while. However, natural twins in cows only happens about 0.5% of the time, so about 1 in every 200 births. So a very large cattle herd of 200 or more cows, you would see twins regularly in any given calving season. You could have a set of twins. And the male-female twin calf set, they not only share the uterus, but they also share placental membranes. And that's where the problem occurs. The joining of the placental membranes occurs at about the 40th day of gestation, and after that happens, the fluids of the two fetuses can easily mix, and there is an exchange of blood and antigens that carry unique characteristics of bulls and heifers. So in the end, both will have some characteristics of the other sex. Now, the male is only affected by perhaps reduced fertility, perhaps not. Or how much is it reduced? Is it enough to really make a difference? Who knows? In the female, over 90% of them are completely infertile. And that's what makes her a Freemartin. She's genetically female, but has characteristics of a male. The ovaries generally do not develop correctly. They're small. There can actually be other structural anomalies as well. And in the end, Freemartinism cannot be prevented, and it really is rare. Even with any set of twins, there's a 50-50 chance of same-sex calves. So if I do the math correctly, that means that in those 1 in 200 births that could produce twins, at least half of the time, those twins would be fine, twins of the same sex. Anyway, that's the story of our twin calves. They are really cute beyond measure, but likely we have 2 steers for all intents and purposes, and I don't know about Hansel. Oh, I forgot to mention, we call them Hansel and Gretel. So I don't know if Hansel will make a decent bull or not, but we can be pretty sure that Gretel will never produce a calf. So what do you think we should do with these 2 calves? We are currently bottle feeding both of them. They could be sold as bottle babies. Anybody can purchase the milk replacer and bottle feed them. We could raise them as steers and sell the meat when they get old enough. We could try to breed Gretel when she's old enough. I don't know. We could raise Hansel as a bull. He is 50% registered Normandy and 50% registered Jersey. And if he's fertile, he would make a fine bull for somebody. Well, let us know what you think. That's it for this podcast. It's a great time of the year here on the homestead. I'm so glad to be nearly finished with birthing. As I mentioned, it is quite stressful for me. I just never know what to expect, and I hate to lose animals, and so I'm just on edge. But we have beautiful lambs and beautiful calves, and we are truly blessed. The joy of watching all of the plants and animals grow will fill our lives for the next several months. I hope you all are having a wonderful spring season as well. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hop over to Apple Podcasts or whatever podcasting service that you use, subscribe, and give me a 5-star rating and review. If you like this content and want to help out the show, the absolute best way you can do that is to share it with any family or friends who might be interested in this type of content. Share it on your social media. Let them know about the Peaceful Heart FarmCast. Thank you so much for stopping by the homestead, and until next time, may God fill your life with grace and peace.